Hi, this is Bedrest coach Darline Turner, owner and founder of Mamas on Bedrest and Beyond. Welcome to our blog today on September the 29th, 2014. Today's blog post is about pessaries, and in our Facebook community, I received the following message from one of our mamas. Mama on Bedrest Rose writes, I'm dealing with a short cervix and expecting twins. The last cervix check showed my cervix getting shorter. My doctor has recommended the inflatable pessary. Anyone using or have used a pessary before, please share tips on usage and insertion. Well, Rose, this is a really great question, and it's pertinent because we've been talking about the fact that there are more treatments being used, developed, adapted, etc. for mamas on bed rest and for the varying things that cause women to have to go on bed rest. Now, pessaries were initially used for bladder prolapse to kind of push the bladder up so that women would not experience urinary incontinence. So it's interesting that we're now using them for prevention of preterm labor, cervical insufficiency. But in fact, it's a great idea because they work similarly for this condition as they do in holding up the bladder and kind of clamping down some on the urethra so that women don't experience urinary incontinence. So I did a little checking for you, and I found a great website called Up to Date, and I will give the link to that with all the information that I got in the header of this blog. But what they showed, and I'm just taking an excerpt because it was a whole huge page of information. It says vaginal pessaries are intended to alter the axis of the cervical canal and displace the weight of the uterine contents, and that means the baby, the gestational sac, what have you, away from the cervix. By changing the angle of the cervix in relation to the uterus, the pessary also obstructs the internal os and may provide protection against ascending infection. So what does this mean? It means when a pessary is placed, it goes into the vagina, it goes up around the cervical os. And what it does is it just ever so slightly will alter the way the cervix itself sits up against the uterus, but it clamps down around the cervical os, the little opening between the uterus and the cervix, such that then infection can't also travel up. So this is a good thing. You're getting two things for the price of one, so to speak. And, the question then becomes, well, why a pessary? Is this useful? If it was originally for bladder prolapse and urinary incontinence, is this a good thing? Well, up until 2012, we didn't know. Nobody was really using it. Nobody was really doing it. Or if they were, they weren't saying anything. But in 2012, there was a multi-center trial which looked at 385 pregnant women with cervical insufficiency between 20 and 23 weeks. The majority of them have had no history of preterm birth, and none had had a cerclage or were on progesterone. What they found, and these are the results, I kind of summarized it all for you. The pessary group had significant reduction in spontaneous preterm births at both 28 weeks and weeks before 28 weeks, and at weeks less than or equal to 34 weeks. So it seems to be really effective, at least in this one trial. And the authors said that this pessary may be an effective treatment for cervical insufficiency, but more studies are needed to say definitely, and currently they don't recommend it to be used instead of a cerclage and or progesterone. Now, personally, and I can't say I've had, tons of people telling me, I haven't seen it used alone. I usually see it in women who say, oh, well, they tried a pessary after they did the cerclage. And that's what I've seen. And then there have been a few women who have said, I have a pessary. And one woman even wrote in that she had one that was giving off pulses of progesterone. So I've not seen it used by itself, although there are probably people out there, I just don't know. But it's usually used in addition to the cerclage and the progesterone. So more in line with Rose's question, how does it work? Now, I don't have a pessary here in my office, but I do have one of those, what are they called? Oh my goodness, had a mind blank there. the cervical cups for menstrual bleeding. So I just brought one out, and I guess I have to have it up a little higher. And I'm going to punch out the plastic part because we don't need that for our demonstration here. But the ring will give us a pretty good replication of what the pessary looks like and how it behaves. So I took off the plastic stuff, which is used for the collecting of the menstrual blood. And now we have the ring, which simulates what a pessary may look like. Now, if anyone's ever used a diaphragm or a cervical cap, it's really the same kind of mechanism of action. And I am going to find how to get, how in the doctor's offices they have the little plastic pelvises. I'm going to get one of those so that we can do more demonstrations. But for today, we're going to pretend that this is our pessary, and it may or may not contain progesterone. And I'm going to just use my fingers to simulate. This will be all the uterus. Go this way. And my fingers will be the cervix. I'm going to squish them kind of together. And what you would do is say you're coming in this way is outside. So you'd come into the vagina and you would come up and you would fit it around the cervicals. Now, this is totally simplistic. I mean, and probably a little hard to understand, but it fits around and it would fit snug. It wouldn't have the space here, but those are my fingers. It would fit snug around the cervix and just add an extra layer of safety and push up so that the cervix itself would hang this way and have a chance to maybe lengthen. If there's a cerclage in there, give that a little extra support probably behind it so that that will stay tight as well. And really just keeping the pregnancy, whoops, let me move my hand here, keeping the pregnancy, which would be up this way. Now, one of the things they talked about within the article is that it changes the angle. So if let's say the cervix is tilting down this way, so we fit the pessary around, and it may alter it just a little bit so that the contents in the uterus, which is the baby, the uterine sac and everything, are pushed up just a little bit, and they can't get down this way. So you're not going to have that much as pressure and the push for labor and that type of thing. Also, because it's going to clamp down, and I'm going to make this see a little tighter here, then infection things coming through the vagina can't get up. So it can really be a nice adjunct therapy to a cerclage and to progesterone, one or both of them. So it's really neat. There are many different pessaries on the market. You really need to get with your obstetrician to figure out which is the best kind for you, whether or not you need progesterone within the pessary, you're going to take that separately or what have you. But if you have an incompetent cervix, this may be a good treatment for you. Talk to your OB about it. Talk to your perinatologist, because they're finding that for the money, for the it's not super invasive. I mean, yes, you have to put it in the vagina, but other than that, it's not like a cerclage where you have to have it surgically placed. It has very minimal side effects. Most women only complain of maybe some pressure, tiny bit of vaginal discharge, but nothing major. And other than that, it doesn't, unless it has progesterone, it doesn't emit anything into your body, your bloodstream, what have you. So it can really become a nice adjunct, and I'll be keeping my eyes out to see what the subsequent studies have to say about this. But for those of you who have a pessary or who are thinking of using a pessary, talk with your OB, because right now, at least as of September 29th, 2014, it looks like a really safe, nice adjunctive type of treatment for incompetent cervix. If this was helpful to you, hey, great. I'm so happy. Put a comment at the bottom of this blog post. If you have a question, feel free to post it also on this blog post, or send it to me at darlene@mamasonbedrest.com, or actually it's easier to send it to info@mamasonbedrest.com, because if you don't spell my name right, you can't get me. info@mamasonbedrest.com. Join our Facebook community. There was a whole discussion going on about this. So it's facebook.com/mamasonbedrest and beyond. And look for these and other great tips from mamas in our book, From Mamas to Mamas, The Essential Guide to Surviving Bed Rest. That's it for me, bed rest coach Darline Turner, owner and founder of Mamas on Bed Rest and Beyond. Thank you for joining me today. Bye.